Your dog takes a few steps into a room, pauses, and looks back at you before moving on. It feels ordinary, almost forgettable. But moments like this are rarely random. Dogs are constantly checking in, not out of insecurity, but out of instinct. Those instincts come from a time when survival depended on staying close to the right figure. In this video, we'll explore 5 behaviors that quietly show when your dog sees you as their parent. If you enjoy looking deeper into moments like these, consider subscribing and continuing the journey with me. Number 1. Your dog uses you as their emotional compass. Your dog steps toward something unfamiliar, then stops and looks at you, as if waiting for a signal you didn't realize you were giving. It's a quiet moment, easy to miss, but it says more than any excited greeting ever could. In those pauses, your dog isn't asking for permission or approval. They're checking the emotional temperature of the world through you. Your face, your posture, even the way you breathe becomes information they trust more than their own instincts. When you stay calm, their body softens. When you tense, they hesitate, not out of fear, but out of care. This is how dogs learn what is safe, not by rules, but by reading the one person who makes the world feel steady. It's the same instinct puppies use when they glance back at their mother before stepping into something new. That glance isn't doubt, it's connection. Over time, when your dog repeatedly uses you as this reference point, a deeper attachment quietly forms. You become the place where uncertainty settles and turns into confidence. This doesn't mean your dog can't think for themselves. It means they've chosen you as their emotional anchor. And once a dog assigns that role, their behavior begins to shift in subtle ways, not just in moments of uncertainty, but even when everything feels calm. Number 2, your dog checks in with you even when nothing is wrong. Have you noticed how your dog will glance back at you in the middle of play, as if making sure you're still there? It often happens when nothing is wrong at all, which is why most people brush it off. But those small looks aren't random or meaningless. They're quiet check-ins that come from a place of security, not uncertainty. Your dog isn't distracted or bored, and they're not looking for instructions. They're grounding themselves by confirming that their safe person is nearby. In the wild, puppies do this constantly with their mother. Not because they're lost, but because her presence keeps the world organized. Adult dogs carry that instinct forward when one human begins to fill the same emotional role. So when your dog briefly meets your eyes and then happily returns to whatever they were doing, it's a sign of trust, not dependence. It's their way of saying they feel free to explore because you're there if they need you. Some dogs do this often, others more subtly, and some hardly at all. Temperament, confidence, and personality shape how visible this behavior becomes. A quieter dog may check in without turning their head, simply by staying within a certain distance. What matters isn't how dramatic the gesture looks, but the emotional thread underneath it. And as that thread strengthens, it starts to show up in moments that feel even more intimate and unguarded. Number 3. Your dog leans on you to regulate their nervous system. Your dog slowly presses their body against your leg, not asking for attention, just settling their weight there. It's one of the quietest behaviors they show, and also one of the most revealing. Leaning isn't about affection in the way we usually think of it. It's about regulation. When dogs feel overwhelmed, overstimulated, or even deeply relaxed, their body looks for something steady to sync with. For puppies, that steadiness comes from their mother's body, her warmth, her heartbeat, her presence. As adults, dogs seek the same grounding from the human they trust most. When your dog leans on you, their breathing begins to slow. Muscles soften. The nervous system shifts out of alert mode and into calm. This is why it often happens during storms, in busy places, or even during quiet evenings when nothing seems wrong on the surface. Your dog isn't demanding comfort. They're choosing it. They're using your body as a stabilizing point in a world that constantly sends signals. What's important is what happens next. A dog with a healthy attachment will lean, settle, and then move away when they're ready. The contact restores balance rather than creating dependence. And in that exchange, something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Because comfort like this is only possible when trust already feels absolute. Number 4, your dog uses your scent as a source of security. You leave the room, and later you find your dog curled up on the spot where you were sitting. To us, it looks like coincidence, but for your dog, scent is presence. Your smell carries information that goes far beyond memory. It tells them where safety lives, where calm begins, where the world makes sense again. Dogs experience scent as something grounding, almost like a reassurance that doesn't need words. That's why they seek out your clothes, rest near the door when you're gone, or settle more easily once your scent fills a space. They aren't clinging to an object. They're staying connected to the person who regulates their sense of security. For puppies, the mother's scent does exactly this. It lowers stress, organizes emotion, and signals that protection is nearby. When your dog relies on your scent in the same way, it shows how deeply that association has formed. This isn't about preference or favoritism. It's about predictability. Your dog has learned that your presence, even traced through scent, means stability. That's why this behavior often appears when you leave, during transitions, or after emotionally charged moments. It's their way of anchoring themselves until you return. And when a dog forms that kind of bond, it often reveals itself most clearly during the moments when they are at their most vulnerable. Number 5. Your dog sleeps near you because they feel completely safe. Your dog turns their back to you, stretches out, and falls into a deep, unguarded sleep without hesitation. It's a simple image, but it carries an extraordinary amount of meaning. Sleep is the moment when a dog is most exposed to the world. Their senses soften, their reactions slow, and their ability to protect themselves fades. Because of that, dogs choose where and how they sleep with pure instinct, not habit. They don't surrender that level of vulnerability near just anyone. When your dog sleeps close to you, presses against you, or exposes their belly, they're making a quiet decision that you may never notice. They're deciding that the world is safe enough to let go. In nature, this kind of trust exists almost exclusively between a mother and her puppy. It's the bond that allows rest without fear. Many people mistake this behavior for simple affection, but it goes deeper than closeness. It's about protection without vigilance. Your dog isn't watching the room because they trust you to hold that role. They aren't scanning for danger because your presence tells them it's already handled. This kind of sleep doesn't happen overnight. It grows through consistency, emotional reliability, and countless small moments where you proved, without realizing it, that you were safe. And when a dog finally rests like this beside you, it's their clearest expression of trust, spoken in the only language they have. When you start to see these quiet moments for what they really are, your relationship with your dog begins to feel deeper and more meaningful than before. If you've recognized your dog in any of this, it's because the bond you share was already built through patience, presence, and care, often without you even realizing it. At its core, what your dog is responding to isn't perfection or training, but the steady sense of safety you bring into their world. Noticing these moments more gently, without trying to control or label them, allows that trust to keep growing in its own natural way. And once you understand how deeply dogs communicate through instinct and vulnerability, even the behaviors that once felt awkward or confusing start to take on a different meaning. One of the most misunderstood of those moments is when a dog chooses to sniff a human in a way that feels personal, yet carries an emotional message most people never consider. If you're curious to keep seeing your dog through this calmer, more honest lens, stay with me and let the next story unfold.